Restoration is brought to you by
Hisense, everyday prices for everyday people.
Yes, extra long sanitary pad for extra comfort.
We got yes protection.
Adonko hand sanitizer. Sure odo. Nebo home buy.
New Pepsodent Herbal. Introducing a unique combination of herbal extracts.
Thank you, Mommy.
Introducing Indomie beef flavor.
It is always a delight to come your way. This is Restoration with Stacy, and every time we endeavor to bring you stories, to bring you information that would uplift your spirit and help you lead a better life. We're brought to you by Kind Courtesy Hisense, everyday prices for everyday people, Yas washing powder and Yas sanitary pad, hooch corn and choco flakes, my ultimate breakfast choice. A very big thank you to Adonko Original Hand Sanitizer and Adonko Next Level. I'd also want to say a very big thank you to my glam team, Ophelia of ABS Lux Line, located on the Doko Highway. My hair today is by Manuela's Hair Studio. Located at North Legon, opposite Cheesy Pizza. Yes, you can visit Manuela and get this beautiful wig from her. A very big thank you to Divine Cassie for my makeup, and of course, GH Beauty Artistry for the makeup of my guest. Big thank you going out to Brian Phil Photography, who always makes sure to capture the beautiful moments we have on this set, as well as my production team, Clan Media. We'll be right back after this break.
Remember the days I just couldn't go to the gym because it was that time of the month. Yas extra long sanitary pad took the worry away. Easy.
Yes comfort, I got yes confidence, I got yes.
The new Yas extra long sanitary pad is the joy of every woman. It is extra absorbent and fits perfect. Don't allow anything to hold you back when it's that time.
Wow. Yes, yes, yes.
Feel confident, stay fresh.
Hi, is it supposed to be that time of the month?
Yes. I got yes confidence, I got
Yes.
we got yes protection, I got
Yas extra long sanitary pad for extra comfort.
we got yes protection.
Hello, your friend Jackie. So we will be a winning on who are the jet to semia and pimpino. You to me 5 gems if in Kitsadia, you need your brucia, your fans, any and down for anyam. Nanso, who bet to me about home by using Adonko hand sanitizer, debia, any bribia. Every say you to me 5 gems if in Yama Yensa is so. Adonko hand sanitizer, bet to me about home by debia, free gems, bacteria, you need in home. Adonko hand sanitizer, sure or dog.
FD said Pepsodent introduces charcoal and lemon essence. The unique combination of natural essences whitens teeth naturally for you and family because every smile matters. New Pepsodent Herbal. Introducing a unique combination of herbal extracts in an antibacterial toothpaste for strong teeth and healthy gums that protects your family and you. Every smile matters.
See, you gotta have a smile, no matter what it takes. Then you gotta take perk down, love the way it tastes. Feel the perky buzz from your toes to your face. You gotta take perk down, perky it today. Say oh, 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 oh. You gotta take perk down, perky it today. Say oh, 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 oh. You gotta take
Perk up anywhere, even at home, with the rich, milky taste of Peck biscuits. This advert is FDA approved.
Wake up! We have just 50 minutes to set off.
Let's go.
We want jollof for school.
Shower time.
I'll make jollof.
Jollof? We have 45 minutes. What about the cutting, chopping, blending?
Tasty Tom Jollof Mix has all the ingredients to make jollof already mixed in the pack.
Is it going to taste the same?
So we say da pa.
And if a jollof no hooking me.
Pour oil. Add 1 pack of 210 grams Tasty Tom Jollof Mix. Fry for 10 minutes. Add water, some cube, and salt. Add rice. In 45 minutes. Sharp. Let jollof now bing. Right on time.
Delicious jollof and in 45 minutes?
Easy cry. Tasty Tom Jollof Mix. Delicious jollof. Sharp. This advert is FDA approved.
Every child is so unique.
You like no other.
Outstanding in every way.
It's me like no other.
So anytime you walk and play,
You like no other.
you are special like Indomie.
It's me like no other.
Did you know that every child on the planet has their own unique fingerprint like no other?
You like no other. I can play the drums. I'm talented. It's me like no other. I can sing. I can dance. You like no other.
As well as their own unique talents and abilities.
I can cook. I can paint. You like no other. Indomie. It's you like no other.
So every day, in whatever you do, remember you are special in your own way, like no other.
Thank you, Mom, for letting me know I'm special and for making me my special Indomie. Thank you, Mommy.
Introducing Indomie beef flavor. Buy now.
This advert is FDA approved.
As parents, it's mostly our concern what the future of our children hold. But as much as we do not want to talk about certain things, I think it's about time we sit up as a family, as a people, to discuss some of these things that can or that could affect the lives or the future of our children. So today, I have taken our time to discuss adolescent health, because at that stage, if we are not able to put the kids on track, on the right track, we are likely to lose them forever. And to help with the discussion, I have with me a lady I love to call BB. She is Dr. Betty Bankah. Doc, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
You look beautiful.
Thank you.
So I know as parents, sometimes it can be a little uncomfortable for us to discuss adolescent health with our children. I would want to start by asking what adolescent health is.
All right, thank you very much. Adolescent health is basically looking at the health and well-being of adolescents. So we are looking at their psychological health, their emotional health, and then their physical health. So, and a lot of the times, because of that stage, there's also a lot about sexual reproductive health, because really when you look at the lifespan of a person, the adolescent period is the most healthiest. And then it also is the most challenging as far as forming your identity, you know, becoming who you want to be, understanding what is going on around you. Adolescence is really, according to WHO, definition, between the ages of 10 and 19. So it's within those ages that you find that they start changing physically. You know, we have what we call the early adolescents. That's about 10 to 13 years old. And that is when they are all of a sudden, you know, beginning to grow hairs where there was no hair. You know, they begin to, you know, some start their menses at that time. And so things are changing. And then you come to the middle adolescents. That's between about 14 to 16. And this is when they are at the point where they are asking questions. You know, they feel like, oh, I'm looking beautiful. Why do I have to listen to my mom? Why do I have to obey? Why do I have to go to church? Why do I have to, you know? And that's when they start thinking about, well, I'm also, you know, a superhuman.
They feel they know everything.
Yeah, exactly. They know better than their parents. And then you get to the late adolescence. That's from 17 to about 19. This is when now they are beginning to understand the world a little bit more. Relationships are more meaningful to them. Now they begin to think that, okay, my mom and dad, they weren't, you know, they were talking sense at that time, you know. So we have these different stages, you know. It's not cut and dry with each stage, but then that's basically what is common throughout the adolescent period. So adolescent health, we are talking about their psychological health because they are trying to make their identities. And we are talking about their physical health because their bodies are changing. And we're talking about their emotional health because they are learning about attachments, independence, etc.
How do we prepare a child for this stage of their lives? Because I'm sure every child growing up, they feel like, I'm a child, okay, I'll grow, but I don't know what is really in the pudding till you eat it. I saw a video on social media where a little girl was like, I don't want to grow. And the mother said, right, because I don't want to have blood coming from my private part. How do we prepare children for this stage?
Okay, now that's a very good question. And especially in our conservative society, we think that, children shouldn't know about certain things until they are a certain age. But right now, with our social media and all of that, and kids 6, 7 years old, they can get on the net and get all the information they want. It's important to start talking to your children at a very young age, especially they are parts of their bodies, and telling them that, you know, don't call this, calling them by their real names. Yes. And then each time you have to give age-appropriate information to that child. So now we are seeing that people are having their menses by 9 years old. Yes. And so by that
time it wasn't like that.
No, it wasn't. Things are changing so much. You know, it used to be that, maybe around 13, 14,
15.
Yes. You know, you're getting 8-year-olds, 9, 10 years old, 11 years old, you know. So it's important to start the conversation early. Yes. And let them know their body parts, and then just, you know, have it be age appropriate. And it's very important to start at home for parents to start, than wait and say, when they go to school, they will learn.
They'll learn.
Yes, it's important that they start at home.
Now, I know we have a lot of busy working mothers. And when we were growing up, it was either your mother, your grandmother, your auntie who would walk you through it. I remember when I had my first menses, my grandmother actually prepared a tour with eggs, like that whole puberty thing. And for me, it was very funny. I was like, that's something you watch in movies. What is this woman doing? But now, children even have their menses, and mothers are not really there to give them that support they need. How can we prioritize that stage of our children's lives to make sure that we are a part of the journey?
I think what is important is, as I said, parents' communication is very important. Once you start talking to the child and letting them know that this is what's going to happen, and they get to that stage and you celebrate it, for them to know that, this is the stage in your life that is very important and there are implications to it. I think that is very important. And it's very good. I wish we had that where it gets celebrated, you know, because it helps for the girl child to feel very important, to feel, you know, affirmed, you know, so it is very important. And as you said, nowadays, parents don't have time, and we need to make that time because the children are our children. You know, we need to invest in them. Sometimes we need to maybe sacrifice whatever we need to do just to give that child that there's a confidence, encouragement, affirmation. You know, that would go a long way in their lives.
It is said charity begins at home. So if we are expecting the school, the church, and the society to help us, it means we have to do a lot of work. You rightly said that it's even difficult for us to teach our children the names of their private parts because of the kind of society we live in. Why should it be so?
I think it's just as our culture.
Yes.
You know, so that even in our vernacular, when you're going to mention something, you say sebe. So that is something that we need to try and change as a society. And also, I mentioned that it should start at home, and you mentioned charity starts at home. We need to start having those conversations because we can't outsource our parenting roles. We found out that even the schools and the churches and all of these places that we expect that they would learn or be secure or safe for them, nowadays they are
not safe.
They are not safe, yes. So we need to teach our children for them to understand because to go outside your home to find a trusted adult is not that simple. So that is very important that we're able to start at home and then maybe in church or whatever if you find a trusted adult, because it used to be that once you're in church you should have trusted adults, but unfortunately
that's a
no.
safe haven.
Yes, unfortunately not. That is not what is happening nowadays. So that's when.
How do we build the psychological capacity of these adolescents? Because I'm sure just as women change sometimes when they're pregnant, I'm sure sometimes it does have a toll on the growth of the children. Seeing all these changes happening, something they're not very used to. How do we handle such changes or such psychological stages of their lives?
Okay, so it's very important that we understand that adolescence is, a lot of it has to do with hormonal changes. And as they are going through hormonal changes, there's going to be mood swings. There's going to be irritability. There's going to be, because the child, exactly, because the child doesn't understand what is happening to them. Okay, and they all of a sudden want privacy when they didn't used to have it. So it's important for parents to understand that these are the natural changes they're going through. It's natural developmental changes, and that they'll come to a time where that child would want privacy. And you need to respect that because it's part of their identity formation. And that child would want you to, if you say, don't do this, that they would like to say, oh, why shouldn't I? Then explain to them that, because of this, and they would understand. Gone are the days that you say, do it because I say so. Now children want to know why. And it's not necessarily that they want to be disrespectful, but it's because it's part of their identity formation. There is a reason why you do things, and this is what it is. When we talk about their psychological health, as they are growing and, for example, they start forming breasts, they become very self-conscious about themselves physically, that all of a sudden, there's something on my chest, and what do I look weird? Do I look, So that is when parents would affirm that, this is part of growing up. They are going to get bigger, then you're going to have your menses. And for the boys, there'll come a time you have hair, your body smell will change, your voice will change. You'd find out that, initially they start hanging out with their same sex. So girls would rather go and play with girls, boys would rather go and play with boys until, as they are growing up, then they understand what, different sexes and gender is like. So I think it's just parents being informed and also teaching their children and walking them through, because it becomes very daunting. you wake up in the morning, one morning, and you have breast, and then now all of a sudden all the boys in the area or the men are noticing you, and then you want, and for those who don't have that, they're like, okay, my friend is being noticed, I'm not being noticed, there's something wrong with me. It's all part of their psychological health. And for us to also recognize that just as it happens to all adults, around your period, there's a lot of mood swings because of the hormones. You feel irritable. You feel like you don't want to do anything with anyone. You feel like, you should be left alone. And if on top of that, you even have pain, what we call dysmenorrhea, with period pain, you don't want to be around people, you want to be in your room by yourself. Once we recognize that and then we encourage them that, this is something normal, it helps with their psychological health.
We have this tendency of these young adolescents, girls going like, I have cramps. And because of that, they don't want to go to school. And I don't know, I don't know what that thing is. But the moment their period is in, I have cramps. It's like every young adolescent girl has cramps at least the first 2 or 3 days of their period. And it's just a very great excuse to excuse school. How do we, should I say, pamper them or talk to them to understand it is part of the process? It's pain, but it's not pain that is unbearable. You can try and go to school. Because I have one in my house. That is the anthem. I have cramps. And I realized it's a routine amongst the friends. I have cramps. I'm like, where do you people learn this cramps word? So how do we get them to understand having your period is not sickness. It's normal. You can go to school and still go through the day and come back. Because for me, I did it nicely. It didn't work, so I had to get angry. Then it worked. And so now even when there is cramps, you have to try and go to school.
Yes.
So how can parents manage this time? Because it's like they make you feel you've never had your period before.
Yes, they know it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sometimes they do have is the discomfort of having to go to school with their period, the first on day one, that they come up with excuses that, I have cramps, so I can't go. But then if you have cramps and it's that serious, you can take analgesics, you can take pain medication and go. Yes, you can do that.
Yeah.
So unless
because we went to school.
Yes.
Even if you were like having the biggest of cramps or super heavy flu, you go to school.
Yes.
There was no excuse.
Yes. So it's if it's serious enough for them to take pain medication, yes. I mean, having said that, there are some very, very serious dysmenorrhea where there is, people have vomiting and all kinds of things that come. But really, actually being active makes the cramps go down.
Oh, really?
Yes, because it's muscular movement. So having cramps and just lying down, it
doesn't help.
It doesn't help as much, but if you move around, it does help because you have, your muscles moving and helping, things move along. So you can just give them Panadol, take it, and go to school, and then it should be fine.
When it comes to the development of girls are more obvious than boys. Because the girls will see their breast, they will see the period, so they know they're growing, they're becoming adults. But with the boys, you normally don't see a lot of physical stuff till maybe their voices begin to break. Then you see the mustache and the beard coming. The girls go through the period, and we all know the tantrums and all of that comes with it. What do the boys go through aside the breaking of the voice, seeing the hair and all of that?
Actually, it's because a lot of it is not external. Because it starts with they may have a change in odor. Their smell would change because you have testosterone levels going. So the sweat will smell different. And also they may have some hair growing in their armpits, around their private parts. It's not that much, so it's not external initially. And then you can have the size of their reproductive organs start growing. Okay. And that's also not hidden, so you won't be able to see. Yes, so it's really later on in their middle adolescence that their voice will break, that you might hear that. But otherwise, a lot of it is hidden and also internal. Unlike the girls where they would have breasts that you can see, and then you can see their body shape changing, their distribution of fat around their hips changing, and all of that. So
that's
it's
like natural BBL and lipo.
So really, girls reach their adult size, before boys would. Yes. So during the time that they have their menarche or their periods is when their growth spurts or they grow faster. Okay. So you find out that maybe in about class 4, class 5, all the girls are taller than the boys. Then by the time you get to, JHS 1, 2, 3, now you see that the boys are shooting up and becoming taller. Yeah.
Do the boys also go through any emotional changes with their development?
Yes, they do. Because, for example, when you talk about physical, okay, one of the things that happen with boys is that they lose fat and they gain more lean muscle. Okay, so then they become a bit more muscular and they can become self-conscious. For example, if your peers are getting that and you are not, and you are still smaller, you become self-conscious. And also at that time too, they develop a sense of what we call the Superman, that I can take risks, I feel like I'm invincible, and all of that. And it has psychological implications because then you feel you know it all, you can do it all, but then there's a parent or someone who's challenging your abilities, what you think that you can do. So that also can...
And that is the time they become rebellious.
Yes, they can become rebellious. So really, when you look at when you look at the brain of the developing adolescent, we have what we call the limbic system, which is the part of the brain that is responsible for pleasure, what makes you happy, what makes you, And then we have the prefrontal, which is the front part of your brain. That is the part that makes logical decisions, understands what consequences, etc. is. But when it comes to adolescence, the part that makes you feel good, the pleasure part, grows faster than the part that makes sense, so to speak. So you find that they make decisions that, you think, why didn't you think about this before? Don't you know the consequence of what you're doing? It's because really they don't have the cognitive ability to be able to think that way. So you find out that things that you think you should understand, that when you take this action, this is the result, but it's lost to them. So that's some of the things that psychologically can have a toll.
Wow. I'm sure most parents are so glued to their TV sets listening to this conversation. Well, I'm learning a lot. Yeah, sometimes you feel you know a lot, but you are never so sure until you get some more education. We'll be right back after this break.
because it was that time of the month. Yas extra long sanitary pad took the worry away. Easy.
Yes, comfort, I got. Yes, confidence, I got. Yes.
The new Yas extra long sanitary pad is the joy of every woman. It is extra absorbent and fits perfect. Don't allow anything to hold you back when it's that time.
Wow. Yes, yes, yes.
Feel confident, stay fresh.
Hi. Is it supposed to be that time of the month?
Yes. I got. Yes, confidence, I got.
Yes.
We got yes protection. I got.
Yas extra long sanitary pad for extra comfort.
We got yes protection.
Hello, your friend Jackie. So we will be our winning who are the jet to semia and pimpino. You to me 5 gems if in Kitadia, you need your brucia, your fans, any and down for any. Nanso, who bet to me about home by use Adolescent hand sanitizer, debia, any brebia. Every say you to me 5 gems if in Yama Yasa is so. Adolescent hand sanitizer, bet to me about home by debia, free gems, bacteria, you need in home. Adolescent hand sanitizer, sure or dog.
FD said Pepsodent introduces charcoal and lemon essence. The unique combination of natural essences whitens teeth naturally for you and family because every smile matters. New Pepsodent Herbal. Introducing a unique combination of herbal extracts in an antibacterial toothpaste for strong teeth and healthy gums that protects your family and you. Every smile matters.
See, you gotta have a smile, no matter what it takes. Then you gotta take perk down, love the way it tastes. Feel the perky buzz from your toes to your face. You gotta take perk down, perky it today. Say oh, 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 oh. You gotta take perk down, perky it today. Say oh, 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 oh. You gotta take
Perk up anywhere, even at home, with the rich milky taste of Peck biscuits. This advert is FDA approved.
Wake up! We have just 50 minutes to set off.
Let's go.
We want jollof for school.
Shower time.
I'll make jollof.
Jollof? We have 45 minutes. What about the cutting, chopping, blending?
Tasty Tom Jollof Mix has all the ingredients to make jollof already mixed in the pack.
Is it going to taste the same?
So you say da.
And if I jollof no hooking me.
Pour oil. Add 1 pack of 210 grams Tasty Tom Jollof Mix. Fry for 10 minutes. Add water, some cube, and salt. Add rice. In 45 minutes. Sharp. Let jollof now bing. Right on time.
Delicious jollof and in 45 minutes?
Easy cry. Tasty Tom Jollof Mix. Delicious jollof. Sharp. This advert is FDA approved.
Every child is so unique.
You like no other.
Outstanding in every way.
It's me like no other.
So anytime you walk and play,
you like no other.
You are special like Indomie.
It's me like no other.
Did you know that every child on the planet has their own unique fingerprint like no other?
You like no other. I can play the drums. I'm talented. It's me like no other. I can sing. I can dance. You like no other.
As well as their own unique talents and abilities.
I can cook. I can paint. You like no other. Indomie. It's you like no other.
So every day, in whatever you do, remember you are special in your own way, like no other.
Thank you, Mom, for letting me know I'm special and for making me my special Indomie. Thank you, Mommy.
Introducing Indomie beef flavor. Buy now.
This advert is FDA approved.
It's the Hashtag Super Crazy Giveaway moment. We are at Roji One Hair Studio. Audrey, where to say? What's your first say?
Priscilla from Poma.
Priscilla from Poma. Where you feel, Papa? Just say, oh, madam, ne, general manager. Oh, my hamisa, say, my ba, what am I at? General maba.
Yeah, that's
now we patch up restoration episode. The hipana ne yo fe.
Patch up Empress gift your side then.
Hey, Empress gifty. Adoye.
Okay, me that
try. Empress gift. Adoye den na yo fe.
Dear in Tina man, yeah,
Oh, n'asɛm no ɛtache ne pan ɔsi ɔkɔnsɔre bebree mu ɔfansɔre bebree amanye bebree mu nanso ne nyinaa mu no nyame de ne si baabi ɔde ne si nti ne sɛ abrabɔ mu deɛ ahyɛseɛ ne ɛnyɛ basɛ ɔtɔ bo ase nyame anim na ɔnante n'anim ya na ɔnya gyidie a nyame de ɔbɛsi baabi yɛ
bonsɛma ho ɔkɔ asɔre
Pacho, the Christian Pentecost Church.
Oh, that's nice. May I sure say also for any better on home. We your my a preacher. You beside next the following week. I will come be piano. It's high sense for see and we say and me that was say. Today I will catch your high sense.
Oh, high sense. My idea, nyami sure me that must say. I'm not going to use so me what fridge I'm used to, but me use to in so I can't know me who say.
Yes, that's a pass. So this is our winner for this week's High Sense for Crazy giveaway moment. Next week we'll come your way with another winner.
Restoration.
Welcome back. This is our winner for this week's High Sense Super Giveaway moment. And very soon, Betty would also get to pick a card and we'll see what she will take home. But our conversation continues. We're talking about adolescent health. And I'm sure most of you watching have adolescent children at home, and this conversation will be very, very useful to you all. Betty, we are back. So before the break, we're talking about how the boys actually handle this situation. Now, I would just want, like you said, sometimes we just have to hit the nail on the head. I would want us to talk about sex when it comes to adolescent health. We know at that age, they are curious. They are reading a lot of material, either on social media, on websites, getting information from their friends. How can we as parents guide them to make the right decisions and choices?
Thank you. So it also goes back to communication. Children will find out. They watch TV. They have phones. They would go on the net. They'll go on YouTube. They would want to find out. So we have to have a conversation with them for them to get the right information from the right kind of people. If you don't give them information, they'll find it. And what is to say the information they are getting is the correct one? When adolescents are growing, I talked about the limbic system, the pleasure seeking. They get curious about their bodies. They would have different feelings or attractions towards the opposite sex. It's normal. It's part of it. So if, as a society and as parents, we are not going to see it as a taboo, don't talk about it, then they find themselves in situations that are not conducive. We find ourselves, for example, you're watching TV with your child and a scene comes on, then quickly you turn it off.
Yeah, like there is a kissing scene and it's like an awkward moment in the room. And you find the kids do this.
Yes. Yes. So the thing about it is that you are there with the child and you turn it off. Well, when you are not there, the child is watching.
It's watching.
Yeah, so rather use that as an opportunity to have that conversation. It is very awkward to begin with. I mean, for you, and after that, you just leave it and you have to kind of hold yourself to just let it play and then say, okay, let's talk about what we just watched. It could be a point of conversation. This could be what, we have, I had an example of a little boy who we're looking at just a prescription. And, they've written name and sex and date and all of that. So he saw it and he's like, oh, look, it says, what does it say? I said name. Then it said sex. Like, oh, what is that? And they started giggling because at 7, 8 years old, they knew what sex was. Yes, so then it was an opportunity to discuss, okay, what does
when
sex
you come
mean?
to the medical field, sex does not mean sex.
Yes, but to them, so that is when you take the opportunity to say that, okay.
At 7?
Yes. So you explain to them age appropriately. Age appropriately, that this is what it means, this is what it could be, and this is when this is done. You understand? So it's important. And also for teenagers, it's important to talk to your girls to your boys, because what happens is that girls are getting a lot of attention from men. That, oh, you are beautiful, you are this, and you are getting inappropriate touch. They'll touch you in different places. Oh, look at your breast. Oh, look at your bum. Look at, they'll be touching. So you need to talk to your adolescents that some touch is not appropriate. And then explain to them why. Because we have situations where mothers or parents tell their adolescent girls, don't talk to a man. If you talk to a man, you get pregnant. No, you won't get pregnant just by talking, You have to let them understand that this when you have sex, you can get pregnant. Especially when you've had your period and all of that. So you're able to explain it to them. And also for the boys, sometimes they feel, their peers give them pressure that, oh, you haven't had sex before, then that means
you should try.
Yes, and there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of peer influence, there's a lot of peer pressure from that. But if the parents, you're able to assure them, talk to them that, everything you do has a consequence, and when there is a time for everything, and this might not be the right time. So that is important.
I have a friend who said when she was in school, she used to date this boy. Fast forward after school, she's a very renowned lawyer. She's in traffic, and this guy just kept walking towards her car. So she was scared, and she had to lock her doors because this guy looked rough, looked like he was a junkie. So she was afraid. Then the guy came to knock on her window. Then she turned, so she rolled down a little, and the guy was like, oh, don't you remember me? She's like, no. The guy mentioned them. It's like, oh, we were in the same school. Then it clicked. She was like, oh my God, what the hell was I thinking? That was the guy she was dating in school. So I always tell my daughters that, listen, don't be in a rush. Get to know people. Relationships are very vital for every individual's life, but it does not have to be necessarily sexual.
Exactly.
Because it will come to a time you meet someone and you go like, did I really go out with that person? And you're going to hate yourself for doing that.
Exactly.
So why go through that ordeal when that person can actually become your friend? And you see the person, there are no regrets. But sometimes these young girls, they don't want to listen. I don't know, they are in a hurry. I don't know where their speedboat is going. Seriously, and we have to have these conversations as mothers. Remember the last time I was talking to my first daughter, I was like, do you have a boyfriend? She looked at me awkwardly, like, seriously? I'm like, yes, you're 17. So it's okay to have that conversation. And she was like, I said, is there somebody you like? There are times you see people that you think, then she giggles. She's like, oh, I'm not thinking of that now. I just want to finish with school and get my grades. I said, you're right. But if you know you like somebody, tell me, let's have the conversation. I think sometimes we just need to let them be a little comfortable around us.
Exactly.
Yes. My husband does it a lot. Hey, so who is that boyfriend of yours? Who are you crashing over? And in as much as it feels awkward for them, they know they can have certain conversations with you. Because I realize most girls are assaulted sexually and cannot even talk to their parents about it. Because the first thing is you're going to scold them first, as if it is their fault, they've become victims. So they will not even talk about it. And they bear this burden for their lifetime. So as parents, how can we let our children feel comfortable to be able to talk to us about everything, especially when it comes to men taking advantage of them sexually?
Yes, that is very, very important. I'm glad you mentioned the assault. We know that more than 80% of the people who assault younger people are people known to them.
Yeah.
Or relatives or whatever. Maybe an uncle, one aunt,
teacher, pastor.
Yes, people they are comfortable with. And as you said, you can have relationship, you can have a boyfriend, so to speak, without having to be a sexual relationship. Yeah. I had an example, for example, I had a nanny who came initially from a village, and then when we went to a supermarket, and she thought, oh, is this Malcolm? I've heard of Malcolm. Is this Malcolm? I was like, no, because that was the biggest store she's ever seen. So I thought, okay, let me take her to a Malcolm. So we went to a big Malcolm, and I said, this is Malcolm. She's like, really? And then the next one, I said, well, this is Malcolm, and you think it's the whole world. Let's go to the mall. And I use that as an analogy that, you meet this boy, you think, oh, this boy is everything, Then you meet the next one, it's like, oh, this is even better, And so that is what I used to talk to my young people that, you see someone and you think, oh, this is my relationship. I'm in love with this person. So I'm going to do, I'm going to sleep with that person. I'm going to do all of those things. And you find out later on that you've regretted that you did that. And so what we need to do as parents is really, in adolescents, you'd like them to, you need to guide them through to adulthood so that they don't make decisions that can permanently cause a problem for them. You've dated someone, you've had sex with someone, you cannot go back on that. Yeah, so it's very important. And I'm very happy that you have that conversation with your daughter, and dad also does, because really for girls, what we need is affirmation. Yeah. So if you're having that attention, male attention from your father, it's safe, it's secure, and that's all you need, really. So one of the things I advise my parents is that, when you have that teenage girl who's growing up and, she's finding out that she's getting attention, now take your daughter out on a date. Go and sit somewhere, let that daughter talk to you, and let them open up. If there's anything, going on, they will be able to come to you to talk. And the same for mom. You don't say that, oh, the daughter has a question. Oh, go and ask your mother. You should be able to have that conversation.
Because she asked you.
Yes. So that is very important also.
When it comes to the girls, we are always afraid of teenage pregnancy. We don't want them to get pregnant. But when it comes to the boys, most parents worry about the usage of drugs and peer pressure, what it can lead them to do. Because we have children who are very reserved, but the moment they begin to join certain groups or certain friends, they change. And for me, having friendship that would change you is not as dangerous as having friends that will change your future. Because if the change they are giving you is not a positive one, it's likely to lead you into trouble. Well, how can we also help our boys to stay grounded?
Okay, it's very important that the boys have also affirmation and encouragement from their homes. There's peer influence and then there's peer pressure. Peer influence can be positive or negative. When they see that my friends are doing this and they are smoking, they are taking drugs, and that boy has their parents affirm them at home, their parents know them, their parents have been able to instill their values in them, they are more likely to stand against that peer influence. Once they understand that, for example, and an important thing too is that parents have to model. Okay, you can't have all kinds of smoking and drinks
practice
at home.
What you preach.
Yes, and then you tell your son, don't do it when you go outside. No, well, you do it. And they'll ask you, well, I'm the adult, fine, but then you know that at a certain age, they are quite impressionable. Yeah. So what is your goal for your child? You want them to be a certain person. You want them to value certain things. So you model for them. And once they understand that, okay, you may be, your friends would go and they'll drink, then they'll smoke, they may ask you to try it and all of that, and then let them understand that this is the consequence, this is what can happen. They may be at the age where, in the middle adolescence, they are risk takers. They want to try. Everything. And they may try, but the point is that when they do try, they shouldn't continue. Studies have shown that if adolescents start experimenting with drugs before the age of 14, they are likely to become addicts later on. If they try it for the first time later in adolescence, maybe 18, 19, they are likely not to. But it depends on what is at home. What conversation do we have? What communication do you have with your parents? A lot of the time, some children hold their parents hostage. They can't talk about certain things, but you need to be able to talk to that child because it is your child. Another thing I want to mention is also abuse. Sometimes there's a lot of abuse at home. Parents abuse children physically, or even emotionally, psychologically, calling your child names, telling them, you are useless, you are hopeless, you won't amount to anything. That is not affirming that child, and that is hurtful for the child. We have to understand that they are going through stages, they are going to question authority because it's part of their identity formation. They are going to rebel because it's part of what they do. I'm not saying condone it, but I'm not saying you should beat it out of them. You need to lay rules. They have boundaries that they need to respect. They need to know that, yes, I'm a parent, I have the responsibility to take care of you, but you also have a responsibility to do what you need to do at home. If there are chores you need to do it. If you need to study, you need to do it. But at the same time, I can also be a parent that you can come to me and talk. I'm not a disciplinarian sort of thing. So what we encourage is to be an authoritative parent and not an authoritarian parent. Because then that makes you have a good relationship with their child.
Wow. It's really amazing because we're all trying to make sure we nurture our children to be great. Now, as we do our part as parents, what can the children also do to help us help them?
I think it's important that we talk to our children about what is really going on. If a child is asking for something and you can't afford it, let them know this is the situation. What is the reality on the ground? What are things like really? Once you understand that, my friend has a PS5, I want a PS5. Well, I can't get you a piece. Yes, you can't have it now because this is the situation. And lots of the times, children will understand. When we are getting a lot of pressure, my friend is doing this, my friend has this iPhone, your friend has it, but I can't afford to give it to you right now. They would have to understand. And you mentioned charity, yes. When at home, you need to have chores for your children. They need to know that when I wake up in the morning, this is what I'm supposed to do. When we sit as a family, everybody has what they need to be doing. They need to know. They need to be involved because they will live on their own someday. And this is part of the charity that is beginning at home. Yes.
In our days, we had Planned Parenthood Association of Ghana who would go around schools to ensure that children are given that education they need. They were, in every term, they could come once a month. If you had questions, you could actually go talk to them one-on-one and they would help you. There were other agencies who were doing the same, but can we say that for today? Because now we realize that the school time is even very short. Now the children are in school like a month and a half. They are back home for, especially those in SHS, for like 2 months. They are back again for another month and a half. How can we go back to how we had these organizations come to the schools to support parents, support teachers, to ensure that the children were informed?
It's the curriculum for schools now has incorporated sexual reproductive health. And as you said, right now, the time spent in school and all of that has changed, So I think, for me, I think that the curriculum, if we could have more of formal education, cover some of these topics, that would be good. I can't really say for the Planned Parenting coming in and giving all that information anymore because of how the school schedules have changed. Yes, so I can't really speak to that.
You see, in our time, we had sexual reproductive classes. I think it was within social studies or so. But then the school always made sure that as an extra activity during club sessions, you would have them come along. So I think it's something GES should look at because it goes a long way to help. You know, sometimes students can be uncomfortable with teachers.
Yes.
Even with parents talking to them about sex.
Yes.
But when they have people they don't really know, people they feel will not judge them, it's a little easier. They are able to get through to them. That is when you get to hear questions that would shock you. Because I do a lot of these outreaches, and I've been to one of the universities in Ghana where one student asked me that, is it advisable to take 12 pills of paracetamol before sex and 12 pills after sex?
Okay.
I was like, whoa, which one is that? So I asked her, have you been doing that? She said, yes. I asked her, have you ever been pregnant? She said, no. I said, well, then you're lucky because there is no science that states that you need to take 12 pills of paracetamol before sex and 12 pills of paracetamol after sex. Are you all right? Do you know what you're doing to yourself? Even 2 pills of paracetamol, 12. So you're taking 12 pills, 24 pills of paracetamol in a day just because you don't want to get pregnant. How crazy can you be? So I told her, you're just lucky. There is no science, there is nothing that proves that 24 pills will not get you pregnant. So we need to have these conversations with our children. And thank you very much for making time to come to explain to us. And I'm sure most of the children are watching and giggling and laughing that, hey, that's what today Auntie Stacey is saying stuff. But these are things we need to talk about, parents. Let's talk about sex with our children. Let's talk about their mental health. Let's talk about their emotional health, their psychological health. It would go a long way to make their future better and also nurture them to become great parents in the future. And before I let go of you, it's time for you to pick one of our cards, then we'll see what you're taking home. Yes, you don't come here and go, Dr. Komane tell you. No. Okay, so.
All right. Okay.
Okay, so let me help you with that. Okay, thank you for coming. You take home a Hisense air fryer.
Oh.
Don't tell me you needed one.
I don't have one.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
So, yes. So this is coming from Hisense to you. It's your air fryer. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, too. Thank you
and
very,
that is
very
not
much.
all from our partner, Lexter Ghana Limited. Yes, our partners. Yes, because Lexter and Moag would go a long way. And we say a very big thank you to you for coming and always keep pushing that our generation of women and young women will be great. So this is from Team Lexter.
Thank you very much.
To you. So it has the Yas sanitary pad, kitchen towels, toothbrushes, washing powder, everything Lexter is in there. Thank you very much. I'd like to say a very big thank you to our sponsors, Hisense, everyday prices for everyday people, Yas washing powder and Yas sanitary pad, Hooch Corn and Choco Flakes, La Palm Royal Beach Hotel. A very big thank you to you, Adonko Original Hand Sanitizer and Adonko Next Level, to the Souza Catering. Thank you very much, Soraya and the team, for always ensuring that my team and I are always refreshed. A big thank you to my glam team, ABS Lux Line, located at Odoko Highway, Divine Cassie, GH Beauty Artistry, Manuela's Hair Studio. I'm very grateful to you. Thank you to Brian Phil Photography and M-Clan Media Production. You guys are simply amazing. So if you're thinking of ensuring that your children's future is great, please take this conversation we just had to heart and help them to become great. Always do remember, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. We'll see you next week.